Good evening, my name is Irgy, and today I will present 4 topics related to sociolinguistics. Topic 1 is speech act. Speech act theory is an important concept in linguistics and philosophy of language, focusing on the role of language in communication. It describes how words are not merely used to convey information but also to perform certain actions. Understanding speech act theory, developed by philosophers such as John L. Austin and later John Searle. Speech act theory suggests that when you speak, you are not just stating facts, but may also be performing actions. This action can include promising, ordering, greeting, warning, inviting, and congratulating. The theory breaks down these acts into 3 main components. First is locutionary act, the actual utterance and its apparent meaning. Second is illocutionary act, the intended meaning behind the utterance or the speaker's intention. And last is perlocutionary act, the effect the utterance has on the listener. Component of speech acts. The theory distinguishes between different types of speech acts. First is locutionary act. This involves the formulation of the utterance itself, including its phonetic and grammatical aspect. Illocutionary act. This refers to the intention behind the utterance, such as asking, commanding, or warning. And last is perlocutionary act. This is concerned with the effect the utterance has on the listener, like persuading or scaring them. Austin and Searle's speech act theory. John Searle expanded on Austin's work by categorizing speech acts further and examining the rules that govern them. Understanding these categories and associated rules help in identifying how speech acts achieve their purpose in communication. First is assertive. The speaker asserts a fact or belief. For example, it is raining. Second is directive. The speaker tries to get the listener to do something. For example, please open the window. The third is commissive. The speaker commits to a future action. Example, I promise to call you tomorrow. Fourth, expressive. The speaker expresses feelings or emotion. For example, I am sorry for your loss. And the last is declarative. The speaker utterance brings a change to the external situation. For example, I now pronounce your husband and wife. Meaning of speech acts. Speech acts are an essential concept in understanding how language functions. They emphasize the idea that speaking is not just about relaying information but also about executing certain action through words. Example of speech acts. Example being related to the abstract concept of speech acts by demonstrating how words perform action in everyday scenarios. When you say, I apologize for the misunderstanding, you are performing an act of apology, seeking forgiveness. Asking, could you pass the salt? Exemplifies a request act intended to prompt action from another person. Declaring, I hereby resign from my position, acts as a resignation, altering your employment status. Topic 2. Language change. Language change refers to the process by which a language evolves over time, resulting in differences in its pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar, and usage from one generation to the next. These changes are often gradual and usually permanent. However, this is not always the case. The rate at which changes occur depends on the different values of people who use certain languages. Types of language change. Sound change. This refers to the changes in the sound of a language that affect the pronunciation of words. Specifically, this relates to any changes in the phonological or phonetic structure of the language. An example of sound change in the English language would be the modification of vowel sounds that happened during the evolution from Middle English to early modern English. This change was known as a great vowel shift, a term coined by linguist Otto Jespersen. According to Jespersen, The great vowel shift consists in a general raising of all long vowels. Phonetically, this refers to long monophthongs. For example, words in Middle English contain longer vowel sounds than they do now. For example, pronunciation in Middle English: toe, weave, moose, vein, here, beat, mate, boat. Pronunciation now. For example, to, wife, mouse, bean, her, bite, meat, put. Types of language change. Lexical change. An example of lexical change in the English language is borrow words. These are words that have been taken from other language and are not part of the English lexicon. English has borrowed words from many different languages, but Latin, French, and German are the three languages with the most influence on English. Some words are borrowed entirely from the original language, while others have been changed to form new words. For example of the word borrowed from Latin: lexicon, apparatus, formula, component, democratic, enthusiasm, imaginary, and sophisticated. An example of word borrowed from French: ballet, machine, novel, magnificent, allowance, energy, irony, and utensil. And the example of words borrowed from German: Angst, rucksack, blitz, hamster, noodle, abseil, delicatessen, pretzel. Semantic change. An example of semantic change is the use of the metaphorical extension. This refers to extending the meaning of a word to other meanings similar to the original. For example, the word head originally refers to a body part of human or animal. However, this meaning has extended to include objects such as the head of a pin, screw, or nails. Syntactic change. Syntactic change can be shown through changing verb tense. For example, the verb go. The verb go comes from the Old English gone. The past tense of gone was eod. However, with the introduction of go, the past tense was not good. Instead, the verb when was used, which was the past tense of to when. This meant that go and when share the same past tense, so when developed another past tense wended. This left when as the past tense of go, which has been the same to this day. Topic 3. Register. The term register refers to the various ways people use language based on who they're talking to and their situation. For example, word choice, tone of voice, and body language will likely differ in the formal situation compared to informal. Although the term register is most commonly used to describe formality, it can also describe the general language used by groups of or people who have something in common. This can include their occupation. Register is an example. Frozen register. The frozen register, otherwise known as a static register, is used for very old pieces of discourse, such as wedding vows, readings from the Bible, and Shakespearean plays. It's called a frozen register because the language hasn't changed for a long time, and it will continue to remain the same even though that language is no longer used today. Formal register. A formal register is most commonly used to address people in position to authority and individuals that merit respect, such as head teachers, police officers, and people who work in the services. In writing, you would use a formal register in letters of complaint, official speeches, or essay. Consultative register. The consultative register is usually used when there is an expert-novice relationship between the two people engaging in the conversation, namely someone who knows a certain subject and someone who doesn't. The consultative register involves a tone of respect since the advice is being sought and given and is typically quite formal. However, the consultative register can also be informal and includes things such as slang depending on the relationship between the two people. Casual register. The casual register typically refers to informal speech used between people who know each other well. The casual register often contains slang, construction, swear words, and feature of speech from local dialects. The casual register is what usually used in everyday language. Intimate register. The intimate register refers to the informal language used when talking to close friends, family members, or romantic partners. The intimate register is frequently used in private and can be used when discussing personal issues, sharing secrets, telling inside jokes, or when being flirty. Topic 4. Style. The term style relates more to written text and refers to how the text is written to fit a specific purpose. Style includes the choice of vocabulary, tones, use of grammar, sentence structure, and layout, which will all differ depending on the purpose of the text. For example, if the purpose of the text is convince the reader to buy a new product, the style would likely be persuasive. Different writing style. Narrative writing. Narrative writing is used to tell a story. It's most commonly associated with fictional writing such as novels and screenplays, and non-fictional writing such as speech and autobiographies. We could use any register in narrative writing, and the register choice is dependent on the context of the story. Persuasive writing. Persuasive writing is used to persuade others of the ideas and thoughts, or to convince others to change their behavior somehow. For example, the persuasive writing includes advertisement, cover letters, and persuasive essays. Essays would use a formal register, whereas advertisement might use a more casual register to create a sense of friendship with the reader. Descriptive writing. Descriptive writing aims to paint a picture for a reader. It aims to entertain and often contains many figurative and decorative language such as metaphor. Examples include poetry, song lyric, and short stories. Again, the register will depend on the context of the text. The writer may even choose the code switch between multiple registers for literary effect. Expository writing. Expository writing aims to explain something to a reader. This writing style needs to be clear, have evidence or statistics, and be concise. It should avoid any unnecessary jargon or complex language. Example of expository writing includes how to article text, books, facts, page, and business writing. Expository writing would usually use a consultative register. So this is for topic about sociolinguistics. I'm sorry if there are any misplaced word or maybe misunderstanding word, and I'm sorry for the sound of the rain today this evening. I'm sorry, and thank you.